Welcome to Disney Parks Addict. Today, we will be checking out all the rides and attractions at the Magic Kingdom Park in Walt Disney World. Let's get straight into the video, starting with Adventureland. First up, we have the Jungle Cruise. This is the classic boat ride that takes you through different jungles all over the world, as you encounter animals, natives, and of course the backside of water. For me, this is one of Disney's classic attractions that can be enjoyed at many of the Disney parks around the world, but Magic Kingdoms will always have a special place in my heart. Next, we have the Magic Carpets of Aladdin. Now, I haven't ridden this ride in a while, but I do remember it not being as good as Dumbo, which is a similar ride but more iconic. On to another classic attraction, the Pirates of the Caribbean. I know some people say that the Disneyland version is far better than Magic Kingdom's, but I still think they are both great. Even with the many changes and additions that have been made over the years, it still holds up today as it did when it first opened in 1973, and is a must-ride attraction every time we visit Magic Kingdom. Another plus, due to the high load capacity, it never really has a long wait time, so it can be enjoyed without having to use a fast pass. On to our first show, Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room. This was an opening day attraction and still delights guests today with the amazing audio animatronic birds, flowers, and totem poles singing the beloved soundtrack. I wasn't a fan of the addition of the under new management theme with Iago and Zuzu, so I'm glad they reverted back to the original in 2011. Even if you're not a fan, you can still enjoy the AC and rest from the busy, crowded park. The last attraction in Adventureland is the Swiss Family Treehouse. This is a nice walk-around attraction, giving you some great views of Adventureland. It never has any wait time, so it's a great place to kill some time if you're waiting for a dining reservation or a fast pass. I like that it kept the Swiss Family Robinson theming instead of changing it to the Tarzan theme like at Disneyland and Hong Kong Disneyland. Now on to Frontierland, where we will start with the Country Bear Jamboree. This is an awesome little show featuring the amazing audio animatronic bears singing tongue-in-cheek country songs. Again, you rarely have to wait for the show, so I thoroughly recommend watching this if you haven't before. Next, we have the attraction that has been in the news lately, Splash Mountain. Don't get me wrong, I like this attraction in its current form, but I'm so excited about the recent announcement for it to be rethemed to a Princess and the Frog attraction. Disney has been trying to hide this attraction's relation to the Song of the South movie for years, and I believe it's about time they made this change. Luckily, I enjoy change, and I can't wait to see all the additions to this amazing attraction. Next to Splash Mountain is the second of 3 mountain rides in the park, and that is the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. This was one of the first roller coasters I ever tried and will forever be etched into my memory. The cranking of the train as it goes up the lift hill, the smell of smoke throughout the attraction, the sound of screams going around corners, and the rush of adrenaline as you exit the vehicle all adds to a very exciting experience. The final attraction in Frontierland is the Tom Sawyer Island. It's not an attraction I visit every time I go to the Magic Kingdom, but I certainly appreciate this area of the park where you can go to relax and unwind away from the crowds. Let's move on to the smallest land in the park, Liberty Square, starting with the Hall of Presidents. I don't really like this attraction, but it's a good place to cool down on a hot day and marvel at the amazing audio animatronics. I understand that it is popular with the American guests, but it feels a bit like political propaganda to me. Luckily, Liberty Square has another attraction, that's of course the Haunted Mansion. This is another classic Disney attraction, offering great theming, a fun storyline, and awesome special effects. If you want to know more about this attraction, then check out the YouTube channel Offhand Disney for his in-depth knowledge of all the haunted mansions that Disney has to offer. We now go from the smallest land to the biggest. Let's take a look at the 10 attractions in Fantasyland. Let's start with Dumbo the Flying Elephant. I have already added this to my Hong Kong and Shanghai Disneyland tier lists, which you can check out in the top corner here. Now onto the classic Disney attraction that I don't like, and that is It's a Small World. I understand the family-friendly appeal, but it just does nothing for me. The repetitive song and creepy dolls makes it feel more like a nightmare than a children's boat ride. Next is the Mad Tea Party, and again, it's a ride I don't really enjoy. I don't usually get nauseous, but this gets me every time, and I curse myself every time someone convinces me to go on. Now onto something a little bit better, the 3D show PhilharMagic. This is a great show filled with classic Disney characters and a fun storyline. I wish there were more attractions featuring Donald Duck, but this will have to do. On to another classic dark ride, Peter Pan's Flight. Although I prefer the version at Shanghai Disneyland, I appreciate that they still updated the Magic Kingdom's queue line with cool interactive elements. Next, we have the Prince Charming Regal Carousel. Although it's a definitive Fantasyland attraction, I understand that it's not for me, but I still like listening and watching everybody else enjoy this ride. Until Tron comes along, the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is still the newest roller coaster in the park. I love the audio animatronics and the little storyline elements, but it's just not as thrilling as the other roller coasters in the park. Straight on to another roller coaster, the Barnstormer featuring the Great Goofini. This was originally in Mickey's Toontown, but it was moved and added to the new Fantasyland expansion in 2012. It's a fun little kids coaster and a great way to introduce them to thrilling rides. Next, we have the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I am still a little bitter that this replaced Mr. Toad's Wild Ride 21 years ago, but I can understand the change to a more relevant IP. It's a fun dark ride, but can also be found at Disneyland, Hong Kong Disneyland, and Shanghai Disneyland. Now we come to the last attraction in Fantasyland, Under the Sea Journey of the Little Mermaid. This dark ride was added in 2011 and is one of the weakest in the park. I'm a fan of the Little Mermaid film, but didn't really enjoy this attraction. I think it would have worked better with a trackless ride system, which offers a variety of movement and would have been perfect for the under the sea setting. Now we move on to the last land, and probably my favorite of the park. It is of course Tomorrowland. Let's start with the rocket spinner attraction, the Astro Orbiter. Another ride that spins and goes up and down. It's not as fun as Dumbo, but still better than the magic carpets of Aladdin. Next, we have Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin, the shooting dark ride that lets you compete with your friends and family on who can get the highest score. I can't believe this ride is now 22 years old, but with the addition of Midway Mania at Hollywood Studios, it certainly feels a little dated. 5 more attractions to go. Next up, we have the Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor. This is a fun show that uses audience interaction to create some family-friendly laughs. Sure, some of the jokes are overused and repetitive, but every once in a while, you'll get a fantastic show with some original jokes. Now onto the Tomorrowland Speedway. As a kid, I remember loving this attraction as I was able to drive a real car for the first time. As an adult, you realize how slow and restricting this ride can be. It's still enjoyable as you get to see different areas of the park. Next is the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover. I can't believe how many people overlook this attraction. It's a 10-minute relaxing ride which gives you elevated views of the park, as well as inside of some of the attractions in Tomorrowland. You get to see the old model of Epcot, and if you're lucky, the inside of Space Mountain with the lights on. The penultimate attraction is Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress. Originally designed for the 1964 World's Fair, it was added to Magic Kingdom in 1975 after a short run at Disneyland. To say that this is a classic Walt Disney attraction would be an understatement. Full of the amazing audio animatronics, as it shows you the development of technology through the years. I would prefer to see this attraction get updated rather than added to the Walt Disney archives. Unfortunately, the last 2 times I tried to view this attraction, someone decided to leave mid-show, resulting in all the audience having to leave the attraction. And now we move on to the last attraction and one of my favorites in the park, Space Mountain. With the futuristic queue line and exciting roller coaster, this is an attraction not to be missed. I love the almost pitch black setting, which doesn't let you know which direction the ride will go, leaving you with an exhilarating experience. So that wraps up the attraction guide for all the rides and attractions in the Magic Kingdom Park at Walt Disney World. Hello there. Today we'll be taking a look at all the rides and attractions in Disney's Animal Kingdom. I'm currently working my way through all the 12 Disney parks around the world, so be sure to subscribe to Disney Parks Addict to see the full collection. Animal Kingdom opened on Earth Day, April 22nd, 1998. It is known as a zoological theme park due to the hundreds of species of live animals it exhibits, and it is 580 acres, making it the largest theme park in the world. The park is dedicated and themed entirely around the natural environment and animal conservation, a philosophy once pioneered by Walt Disney himself. I still remember visiting the park in the summer of 1999 and exploring the different themed lands, and I couldn't believe the different types of animals and vegetation within the theme park, and it has created some long-lasting memories for me. I'll be going through all the current attractions, working my way around the park anti-clockwise. Starting with the amazing entrance and walking through the oasis definitely gives you the strong feeling of nature, seeing the different coves and various animals. Once you make your way through, you come to the awesome reveal of the Tree of Life in Discovery Island. Under the tree is this area's only attraction, the show It's Tough to Be a Bug. This 3D show is based on the underrated and often forgotten A Bug's Life. It took me a few visits to the park to actually see this show, as I was put off by the taunts of my older cousins that you get stung by a bug while watching. But when I actually got to see the show, I thought it was great. The theming of the theater, the 3D and practical effects, and the educational aspects of the show makes it one of the best shows that Disney has produced. Moving round the park into my least favorite area, Dino Land USA. Due to budget cuts while constructing the park, most of this land was a quick fix to offer extra attractions and amusements. Triceratops Spin is just another Dumbo clone to offer something for the younger guests, so I understand I'm not their target audience, but I expect Disney to offer a lot better. Luckily, the other attractions in this area are a lot better, starting with the excellent dark ride, Dinosaur. This has everything I enjoy in an attraction, great theming, fun storyline, and an enjoyable ride overall. You travel back in time to the late Cretaceous period and are given a secret task to bring back one of the dinosaurs. Of course, you encounter many different dinosaurs, including the big and scary kinds. And as you are entering a time near the end of the dinosaurs, it has many meteors falling around you, and it also can be very dark. All this makes for an extremely exciting experience. On the outskirts of Dino Land is the Theater of the Wild, which houses the show Finding Nemo the Musical. This live puppet musical stage show was composed by Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez, who have famously gone on to write songs for Frozen and Coco, so you know it's a show of high quality. It's certainly not a show to be missed, and I highly recommend it. Moving on to the next area in the park, the beautiful Asia. It really does feel like you are entering into another world. One thing you can't miss is the Forbidden Mountain, which contains the roller coaster Expedition Everest. You enter into an amazingly themed queue area, transporting you into Nepalese equipment rooms, tea gardens, and a Yeti museum. The roller coaster features a switch track, allowing the train to travel backwards as well as forwards, and also one of the largest and most complex audio animatronic of a Yeti. Unfortunately, a few months after opening, the framing of the Yeti split, so it can no longer move, and is now known as Disco Yeti due to the strobe lighting giving the illusion of movement. The other major attraction in Asia is the Kali River Rapids. Similar to other attractions in the park, this rapids ride continues the message of conservation and environmental protection and deals with illegal logging and habitat destruction. It's a nice way to cool down on a hot day, but there is little chance of actually getting wet, which can be a good or bad thing depending on your preference. For me, it's not as good as the other rapid rides at Disney's California Adventure and Shanghai Disneyland, but still enjoyable. Another amazing thing about Animal Kingdom are of course the animals appearing throughout the park. The Asia area includes the Maharaja Jungle Trek, a short walking trail featuring animals originating from Asian countries. The highlight of this trail are the tigers and the amazing theming throughout the attraction. All the enclosures look natural to the animal's habitat, and at no point does it feel like the animals are caged in or have limited space. The next attraction in Asia comes in the form of a show, Up, a Great Bird Adventure. Originally known as Flights of Wonder, a fun and informative stage show featuring a variety of birds from around the world. It has now been transformed into another bird show starring Russell and Doug from the popular Pixar film Up. Picking up poor reviews at the start of its run, it has gone through a few rewrites. I only saw this show when it first opened and I thought it was okay, but I've heard that it has improved a little. Now moving round to the next land, which is the brilliantly themed Africa. The major attraction in this area is the Kilimanjaro Safaris, where guests can take an expedition to see African species in the savanna, rivers, and rocky hills. The total area of this attraction is actually bigger than the whole of the Magic Kingdom, and you get to see hippos, rhinos, giraffes, and of course lions. You can ride this attraction multiple times and still find something new to see. To see the most animal activity, sunrise and sunset are the best times to ride this safari. The other exploration trail in the park is in the Africa land and is called Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. It features some of the animals from Kilimanjaro Safaris as well as gorillas and other species. It also includes an aviary showcasing a variety of birds. It's a nice way to relax and take in some nature away from some of the louder areas in the park. I prefer the other nature trail in Asia, but this is still worthwhile. The final attraction in Africa is the wonderful show that is the Festival of the Lion King. Set in a round theatre featuring a variety of puppetry, acrobatics, fire and aerial dancing, as well as all the popular songs from the original movie. This is a show not to be missed. You can't help singing along, and they even have an audience participation segment which allows the children to join in and become part of the show. It's definitely one of the best shows at any of the Disney parks. Although this next attraction's entrance is within the Africa area, I consider it to be a standalone area or land as you need to take transportation to get there. It is, of course, Rafiki's Planet Watch. To get there, you have to hop on the Wildlife Express train, which allows you to see a bit of the Animal Kingdom backlot, including some animal holding buildings, which is interesting in itself. Rafiki's Planet Watch focuses on Disney's work with animal conservation and protection of endangered species. You can find some of these rare animals on display, as well as a veterinary examination room, which allows you to watch and communicate with some of the staff working with the animals. There is also a small petting zoo featuring goats and other domesticated animals, and they have just added an animation experience, which teaches you how to draw a popular Disney character. It's a nice change of pace from the hustle and bustle of the theme park and allows people to learn something new. Finally, we come to the newest and final land in the park, Pandora, the world of Avatar, opened in 2017 to wide acclaim, and I have to say, the land is spectacular and so immersive, unlike I've ever seen before. There are currently 2 rides in this land, and I'll start with the minor attraction, the Na'vi River Journey. This short, dark ride takes you through the forest of Pandora, showcasing the native animals and bioluminescent flora. It's a pleasant ride and features the best audio animatronic that Disney has ever created. But it is just that, pleasant. It's not particularly exciting, no storyline, no conflicts, just a pleasant trip through a fictional forest. We now come to the second ride in Pandora and the last attraction on this list, Avatar Flight of Passage. This is a 3D flying simulator which allows guests to take flight on a native mountain banshee and soar across the landscape of Pandora. I followed the construction of this attraction with great interest, watched and read many reviews of people's first reactions, so I really couldn't wait to try it out. The queue line was fantastic, the pre-show helped to build up the attraction, and I can't deny that it uses some of the best technology that I have ever experienced. But for me, it just doesn't live up to the hype. I thought the visuals were breathtaking and was an enjoyable experience overall, but I was left underwhelmed. I feel the attraction could have added more conflicts or problems that become resolved by the end of your ride through, and would have made for a more exciting experience. Some people claim it is the greatest attraction Disney has ever created, but for me, it's not even the best in the park. If you enjoyed this video, Hollywood Studios opened on May 1st, 1989 with its original name Disney's MGM Studios. It was created to rival the newly planned Universal Studios Orlando, which opened a year later. The park included working production facilities for films and television shows, a backlot, and an animation studio for Walt Disney feature animations. Unfortunately, throughout the 2000s, these elements were removed as more attractions were added, and in 2008, the newly titled Hollywood Studios now celebrates and showcases all things Hollywood. I will go through this list starting with the oldest current attraction all the way to the newly opened Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. First off, we have Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. This show first started a few months after the park's opening day on August 25th, 1989, and features a live-action movie stunt performance reenacting scenes from the first Indiana Jones movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Still as popular as ever, this show has been running for over 30 years, and it continues to be as exciting and enjoyable as its first showing. I love the opening scene with the rolling boulder and the audience participation, which gives the chance for guests to take part in the show. It's my all-time favorite show at any of the Disney parks and is a must-watch every time I visit Hollywood Studios. Opening later in 1989, Star Tours became the first Star Wars attraction to ever be created. This simple 3D motion simulator ride has gone on to be added to many other Disney parks around the world due to its popularity. It was updated in 2011 to Star Tours The Adventure Continues, which added a variety of scenes from all 3 trilogies. With these new scenes, there is a total of 384 different combinations, giving each ride a completely unique experience, and gives the chance of a lot of re-rideability. I like Star Wars and I like rides, so what's not to like? It usually has a low wait time as well, giving you a chance to ride a few times on your visit. 2 years after the opening of Hollywood Studios, Muppet Vision 3D was added to the park. Directed by the legendary Jim Henson, this great 4D show was one of my first ever experiences with 3D, and I still have fond memories of watching it as a child. It's still enjoyable for both adults and children, but I fear that this show is on its last legs. I do hope that Hollywood Studios can keep the Muppets in the park and update this show to a more modern setting. With the decrease in the Muppets' popularity, Disney may look into other IPs to replace this show. Next up, we have another show, Beauty and the Beast, live on stage. Originally added in 1991 on Hollywood Boulevard and moving to Sunset Boulevard in 1994. This show features all the characters and songs from the classic animated film. For me, this show looks the most dated in the park, and unless you have young children, I would give it a miss. It feels like just something to do rather than being exciting to go and watch. I hope Disney can either update this show or introduce something new in the future. Moving on to yet another show, Voyage of the Little Mermaid, which was added in 1992. This live performance uses puppets, lasers, projections, and mist to enhance this production of the classic Disney film, which gives it more of an edge compared to Beauty and the Beast. It's surprising to see these two shows still in the park after nearly 30 years, but I can understand with the live action remakes, these shows will be sticking around for a while. 2 years later, in 1994, the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, along with the Sunset Boulevard section of Hollywood Studios, opened. This was a great addition and the park's first e-ticket attraction. I love this thrilling ride for many reasons, including its awesome storyline, the incredible theming, and the randomized ride system. I hope that Disney keeps the same theming rather than changing it like they did in California Adventure to Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. But with the new Guardians of the Galaxy attraction coming to Epcot next year, it should be safe for now. Hollywood Studios' nighttime spectacular Fantasmic has been running since 1998 and offers a show filled with fireworks, characters, pyrotechnics, and water effects. Compared to the night shows at the other parks, I think this presents something a little different and is a very enjoyable show. I would recommend using a fast pass for priority seating, and it's a good way to wrap up a great day at Hollywood Studios. Walt Disney World's first and only inverted roller coaster, Rockin' Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith, was added in 1999 to attract more guests that enjoy the thrill factor. It is an indoor roller coaster that has 3 inversions and a high-speed launch. I still remember the first time exiting the pre-show to see and hear the screams of this great launch, and it still holds up as a great coaster. The problem I do have with it is the theming. I've never been an Aerosmith fan, and I didn't have a problem with it 18 years ago, but it has become very dated. I know in Disneyland Paris they are giving a refurb to this Rockin' Roller Coaster to a Marvel-themed attraction, which can't be done in Walt Disney World, so I think an Incredibles-themed coaster would be a good fit, and an Edna Mode pre-show would fit perfectly. Added in 2001, Walt Disney Presents is something that needed to be added to one of the parks, and Hollywood Studios was a great fit. Walt Disney Presents is a walk-through mini museum exploring the life and legacy of Walt Disney through photos, models, and rare artifacts. At the end of the walkthrough, you can choose to watch a short biographical film, One Man's Dream, which is a must for any Disney fan. Even as a kid, I enjoyed learning about the life of Walt Disney and have always enjoyed this attraction. The next existing attraction, Toy Story Mania, was added 7 years later, in 2008. This is an interactive 3D shooting gallery featuring characters from the Toy Story franchise. For me, this is a vast improvement to the dated Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin over in Magic Kingdom. I like the variety of the 5 minigames, which are a tribute to the classic Midway games found in many amusements over the years. With the opening of Toy Story Land last year, it has been given a new entrance and continues to get high wait times, which it fully deserves. Time for another show now, which is the popular, for the first time in forever, a Frozen sing-along celebration that opened in 2014. As a fully fledged adult during the release of this film, I have to say I didn't much care for it, but I understand why it gained its popularity. but I was pleasantly surprised with this show when I first watched it. I enjoy the two hosts who bring a little humor for the older guests in the audience, and it has a great atmosphere when everyone is singing along to the popular songs. And I think that Let It Go with the added snow effects is a great way to end the show, and everyone leaves with high spirits. I think the older shows in the park can learn something from this fantastic modern show. Next we have Star Wars Launch Bay, which is an interactive walkthrough attraction featuring Star Wars character meet and greets, film memorabilia, games, and of course a gift shop. This was added soon after the announcement of Galaxy's Edge in late 2015 and offers something for all Star Wars fans. It's nice to walk around and check out all the movie props, and it's very fun to do the meet and greets. With the opening of Galaxy's Edge, I believe this area will eventually be used for something else, so if you haven't had the chance to check out Star Wars Launch Bay, I would do it sooner rather than later. We are now coming near the end of our list. With the opening of Toy Story Land last year, 2 new attractions were added, starting with Slinky Dog Dash. This family-friendly roller coaster is a new thrill ride that the park was in much need of. It's not as exciting as Rock 'n' Roller Coaster, but it's still just as fun. I like the theming of this coaster with all the noises and different characters that can be seen, and it is a great attraction to ride at night with all the colourful lights seen throughout the land. I think it would be a great first coaster for children that want to start with something a little lighter than some of the bigger coasters. The other attraction in Toy Story Land is the Alien Swirling Saucers, a spinning attraction similar to Mater's Junkyard Jamboree at Disney's California Adventure. For a simple flat ride, I found this rather enjoyable. Again, I enjoy the theming and the music, and the way it whips you around some of the corners. It can make you feel that you are going a lot faster than you actually are. Later in 2018, a new show for younger audiences, Disney Junior's Dance Party, was added to the animation courtyard. To be honest, I haven't watched this show, and I don't recognize many of the characters at all. My wife and I will be having a baby next month, so I look forward to checking this show out in a few years' time. Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy is a show featuring Lightning McQueen and other car characters. It's a nice little show and shows off an impressive audio animatronic, but it is nothing compared to Radiator Springs, the Cars-themed land in Disney's California Adventure. There have been rumors of a Cars re-theme to Rock 'n' Roller Coaster, therefore creating a small Cars-themed land in that area of Sunset Boulevard. But with Disney's focus turning to Epcot after the completion of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, I can't see this happening in the near future. And finally, the recently added Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run in the newly built Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I haven't been able to visit this new and exciting land, but from all the footage I've seen so far, it looks great. Smuggler's Run is a motion simulator attraction giving 6 riders a chance to be a pilot, gunner, or engineer as they go on an interactive smuggling mission. It looks fun and gives a great re-rideability, trying out the different roles as well as attempting to beat previous scores. I hope Disney can keep this ride fresh and update or change the mission every year or so to offer something new for returning guests. The next 2 attractions in the park are fairly new, so I won't add any ride footage to try and keep it spoiler free. The first, The Rise of the Resistance, is the most ambitious dark ride Disney have ever created, with a fully immersive experience as you escape the First Order. And the last attraction that was added earlier this year is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which replaced the Great Movie Ride at the center of the park. Being the first attraction featuring Mickey Mouse, this is a ride not to be missed. So that wraps up the attraction guide for all the rides and attractions in Disney's Hollywood. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the attraction closest to the entrance, Spaceship Earth. This opening day ride is the most iconic in the park, and I can easily say is my favorite in Epcot, and may even be in my top 5 Disney attractions of all time. The attraction tells the history of communication, with a focus on the development of cultures and the future of technologies, and features many different scenes and audio animatronics. Personally, I preferred the older Jeremy Irons narration compared to the newer Judi Dench version, but it still has kept that classic feel. I still remember the first time seeing the Disney golf ball and being amazed that they managed to put a ride inside it, and what a ride it is. It was announced at the recent D23 Expo that it will be renovated once again, and some of the later scenes will be updated and will include a new storyline. I am happy that Disney will continue to modernize this classic attraction. Hopefully, the updates will be completed for Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary in 2021. The ride will be closing on the 26th of May 2020 for its renovation. So, if Epcot does reopen before then, be sure to check it out while you still have a chance. Continuing into Future World East, Mission Space is a centrifuge-based ride that simulates the training required to be a member of the space program. The ride was added in the park in October 2003, replacing Horizons. The first time I rode this attraction, it made me feel incredibly sick, and I had never had a problem with motion sickness before. With every repeat visit to Epcot, I always go into this ride thinking it won't be as bad, but I always end up with a headache or feeling sick. So I decided in 2008 to never ride Mission Space ever again, and I have stuck to that promise. They did include the Green Team element in 2006, which includes no spinning and just small motions, but this just felt rather dull to me. However, I am looking forward to the new Space 220 restaurant that will be added at the end of the year, and it may even convince me to break my 11-year promise. The other attraction in Future World East is Test Track, a high-speed giant slot car ride. It still remains the fastest Disney attraction at 64.9 miles an hour. It opened in 1999 and originally showcased the various tests that cars go through during the testing phase. It was refurbished in 2012 and added an element for the guests to design their own vehicles before riding the attraction, as well as many changes on the interior of the ride. Again, I do prefer the older version of this ride, but I can understand why they added the changes to make it a more unique experience for the guests. To showcase Epcot's future attractions and makeover, the Odyssey Events Pavilion is hosting a series of engaging exhibits called the Epcot Experience Center. Check out the 360 screen and a model of the park using projection mapping technology, showcasing all the new things coming to Epcot. Moving over to Future World West, starting with Journey into Imagination with Figment, and what a mess. This ride has gone through 3 changes since it first opened in 1983, and for me, it has progressively got worse and worse. The original with the Dream Finder was the far superior version of this attraction, and I hope the rumors of another renovation are true. At the moment, the ride is dull and even for kids can be pretty boring, even with the added Figment scenes. Next to Journey into Imagination is the Disney and Pixar Short Film Festival, which replaced the classic Captain EO tribute, and before that, the brilliant Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. The 3D show is composed of 3 animated shorts, and the problem I have with this attraction is that it's just a shadow of the 2 former attractions that was based in this pavilion. The short films are nice enough, it rarely has a queue, and is a good way to cool off from the heat, but it just feels like a temporary replacement until something else is added. Hopefully a new show or attraction will be added while Epcot is having its big overhaul over the next few years. Moving round Future World West, the Land Pavilion houses 2 attractions, with the first being Living with the Land. This boat attraction takes guests through a few show scenes with audio animatronics before entering a working greenhouse. I always enjoy this ride as it usually has a low wait time and is an enjoyable, educational 20-minute ride. It showcases a variety of different modern farming methods with lots on display. It's fun to look out for the many hidden Mickeys featured throughout the greenhouses, and it's great to know that all the fruit, vegetables and fish that are farmed here are used in the restaurants around the Walt Disney World Resort. The other attraction in the Land Pavilion is Soarin' Around the World, which is a hang glider simulator that flies over various locations around the world. It was added to Epcot in 2005 in its original iteration, Soarin' over California, after the popularity of the attraction in Disney's California Adventure. The new international edition was added in 2016, and I will say I do prefer the original. With the new film, unless you are sitting in the middle row, the screens become a little warped and is very noticeable during some of the scenes and takes you out of the moment. A new movie was added to the Land Pavilion earlier this year called Awesome Planet. It's an eye-opening 4D film about the Earth's biomes and the perils of climate change, and it also features narration by Ty Burrell from Modern Family. The last current pavilion in Future World West is The Seas with Nemo and Friends. This was added in 2006 and replaced the Living Seas. It is an omni-mover ride featuring Nemo and friends in a real aquarium. I know some people do not like IP attractions within Epcot, but I think this is a great fit and uses an innovative special glass effect to project the animated characters into the real aquarium. The exit of this ride takes you into the sea base, a full working aquarium where you can find sharks, stingrays, manatees, dolphins, and a whole plethora of different aquatic life. Another attraction based in the same pavilion is Turtle Talk with Crush, an interactive show starring Crush the sea turtle, who is also from the Finding Nemo franchise. It is a really popular show with the kids, and it consists of an improvisational, real-time conversation with the audience. Similar to the Monsters Inc. laugh floor in Magic Kingdom, the animated characters interact with the audience and is especially exciting for the kids. Sometimes it can be hilarious, but after repeat visits, you usually end up hearing the same jokes. With limited attractions for younger children, this is a great way to keep them entertained. There are 3 new attractions coming to Future World over the next few years. The most anticipated is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, an indoor roller coaster and Walt Disney World's first ever attraction featuring Marvel characters. This ride will replace Ellen's Energy Adventure in the Universe of Energy Pavilion and is planned to open in 2021. The next new attraction, also planned to arrive in 2021, is Play, which will be a new pavilion replacing the Wonders of Life. It will be themed like an interactive city in which guests will be able to interact with their favorite Disney characters. And the last new attraction that was announced at last year's D23 is Journey of Water, a walkthrough attraction inspired by the popular movie Moana. It will be a garden featuring interactive fountains and other water features, leading from the current Innovations Plaza down to the Seas with Nemo and Friends. Moving out of Future World and into World Showcase, starting with Mexico's attraction, Gran Fiesta Tour, starring the 3 Caballeros. It was originally the El Rio del Tiempo, featuring scenes of Mexican culture, and it was updated in 2007 to include sections with Panchito, Jose, and of course Donald Duck. I love this dark boat ride due to its setting within the interior of the Mexican pavilion, the way it passes by the restaurant, and it has a very short wait time and usually is a walk-on. There have been rumors of a renovation to change it to a Coco attraction, which I'm all for, but they will need to add extra queue lines to accommodate the extra guest traffic. Going around World Showcase, next to Mexico, is the Norway Pavilion, which houses the boat ride Frozen Ever After. Of course, before Frozen Ever After was the cult classic Maelstrom, which showcased Norway and Viking culture, and even had one section of the boat hanging off a ledge which could be seen from the exterior of the ride. In 2016, it was changed to Frozen Ever After with all the popular characters and songs. I can understand why Disney made the change to offer something more for the younger guests, but the nostalgia of Maelstrom makes me wish it had stayed the same. With the change, it now has long wait times, and a fast pass is a must. World Showcase also has two 360 Circle Vision theatres, one in the Canada Pavilion, which has currently stopped showing the film Oh Canada, while they get ready for a new offering, Canada Far and Wide. The other theatre is in the China Pavilion, and they are currently showing Reflections of China, which started its run in 2003. Having lived in China for 9 years, I've got to see some of the beautiful scenery and learned a lot about the history which is shown within the movie. But as China has been and is rapidly developing, the movie is now outdated. But similar to Canada, the film Reflections of China will be replaced by an updated offering, Wondrous China, in the coming months. So I look forward to seeing how the new film will show the modern China that I have become accustomed to. Another attraction in World Showcase is in the host pavilion, the American Adventure, a stage show taking guests on a trip through American history using 35 audio animatronics, including Benjamin Franklin and Mark Twain. It is a great show, and I encourage everyone to watch it at least once, but as it's a 29-minute show, and if you've had a long day and are a little tired, it can be hard to stay awake in the comfortable seats and the cool AC, which may be seen as a good thing to some. I doubt I will rewatch the show unless I'm in a great need of a nap. The last attraction I will be looking at is in the France Pavilion, and that is Impressions de France. This 18-minute panoramic movie which visits many of France's cities and historical structures. There is a reason why the film hasn't changed or been updated since the opening day of Epcot, and holds the world record for longest running daily screening of a film in the same theatre due to its pure quality. I wonder how many people have been persuaded to visit France after watching this delightful movie.
At the beginning of the year, a new show, Beauty and the Beast Sing-Along, was added to the France Pavilion, which is currently playing alternately with the previous show, Impressions de France. Get ready to sing along with the popular songs from this beloved animated classic. It also features an original storyline to give something new to the fans. Another eagerly awaited attraction that will be added to the France Pavilion is Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. Already a fan favourite at Disneyland Paris Resort, this exciting dark ride shrinks you down to experience life in the kitchen as a rat alongside Remy and his friends. This attraction is set to open in the summer of 2020 alongside an expansion of the France Pavilion, which will include new dining options as well as other exciting additions. The last new update from 2019's D23 Expo is the untitled Mary Poppins attraction, coming to the United Kingdom Pavilion. Little is known about this announcement, but there is speculation that it could be another dark ride or simply a walk-through attraction. But either way, it will be a welcome addition to the UK Pavilion. No date has been set for the opening, but it will most likely be in the next couple of years. So that completes this 2020 guide to all the attractions at Epcot in Walt Disney World.